Today we're going to be talking about two different rules. The first rule that we're going to be talking about is called the product rule. And basically the only times they use the product rule or the other rule is whenever you have exponents. So in this case, if you look at your worksheet, we're going to be doing problem number 1. Or, first of all, let me go over the rule itself. So whenever you're talking about the product rule, you're going to have x or whatever base. So this is going to be, again, like I said in class the other day, this is going to be my base. And then you're going to have some sort of exponent. So that one's going to be my exponent over here, the a. Whatever you have, the product rule, in this case, is whenever you have multiple bases with exponents getting multiplied to one another. So in this case, I'm going to have x to the power a multiplied to x to the power of b. You see, we have two different things getting multiplied together, but they also both have an exponent. So what the rule says is that we need to get both the exponents and we're going to add them together. That's all you're going to do. So in this case, I'm going to rewrite the base, because you always do that. You always write your base, and then you're going to write a plus b. And that's what we're going to be doing for this assignment. Now, the assignment might get a little confusing because you're going to have numbers in front of your variables, which might make it a little confusing. So now we're going to have problem number 1. So we have 3y times, oh, this one has this, to the second power times 4x y to the second power. All right? The number one thing I want you to look is that I have two different variables. I have my y variable and also I have my x variable. So whenever you work these problems, I want you to work every problem individually, or like every variable that we work on, we're gonna work it individually. But before we do any of that, I want you to look at what we have in front of the letters or the variables. So we have a 3 and we have a 4. Both of them are going to be in front of the variables, you see, right? So the first thing I want you guys to do whenever you're doing this type of problems and product rule problems is that I want you to work and multiply the two numbers that you have in front. So right here I have a 3 and I have a 4. So I'm going to be multiplying together. So I'm going to get 12. Okay? That's going to take care of my 3 and my 4. Alright? Now I'm going to be working my variables. So secondly, I'm going to pick one of the two variables, which I'm actually going to pick y. I'm going to pick y variable, and I'm going to work that next. Now, what does the product rule say again? It say that I'm going to have to be adding my exponents. Now, I can see that my first y has an exponent of 2, and my second y also has an exponent of 2. So the first thing that you need to do, you need to write the base. So in this case, my base is going to be y. And I'm going to rewrite, and I'm going to write both of my exponents. So exponent a plus exponent b, which is 2. And I'm going to label them over here. This is exponent a, and this is exponent b right here. And y is going to be considered an x in this occasion. The x that we had over here on top. Alright, so what's 2 plus 2? 2 plus 2 is going to be 12 y to the 4th power. Now, we already took care of the y's, so now we can erase them, right? We don't need them anymore. Finally, we're going to be looking at the next variable that we have, and our next variable is going to be x. As you can see in the problem, we don't have any other x's in the problem, meaning that whenever you have anything like this, you're just going to rewrite what you have. So in this case, we're just going to rewrite x. Alright, that was only one problem, so I'm going to be doing at least like 2 more, just to kind of show how we're supposed to do it. So that would be my answer right here. Now let's do another problem. Let's do problem number 2. Problem number 2 is going to be not very difficult. It's going to be exactly the same thing, but you're going to be able to see it, or how the product rule works a lot better. So now we have 4x to the third power, and then we have y to the third power times 2x to the fourth power and y to the third power. Alright, that's what we have so far. Right, again, I want you to look at all the variables that we have inside. I'm going to underline them real quick. So 2, 4, and 2. If I'm multiplying together, so what's 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Yes. So knowing that my numbers on the front are going to be 16, I'm going to write 16 first. Again, I took care of all my coefficients or numbers in front of my variables, so I'm going to erase them. Now, the only thing I have left are my x, or my y and my x on every single one. I'm going to pick one of them. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to pick the variable x. So whenever we do it, we're going to have to write the base, which is going to be x, and then we're going to be adding all of our exponents that are for the x. So my exponents are for the x is going to be the 4, the 3, and the 4. And I'm going to rewrite them right on top. 4 plus 3 plus 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. So, in other words, x is going to be to the 11th power. Okay? And now we're done with all the x exponents, so I'm going to delete them. Now, the only thing I have are my y. So, I'm going to write my base for my y, which is y. And if you look over here at this guy real quick, you can see that that guy does not have an exponent. So if you don't have an exponent, or you get a letter without an exponent, there's going to be an invisible one right on top of it. So in other words, that y, this y right here, has an exponent of 1. So in other words, my exponents, because I'm going to be adding my exponents, is going to be 1 plus 3 plus 3. Right? So 1 plus 3 is 4, and 4 plus 3 is 7. So my answer, my final answer should be 16x 11 y to the 7th power. That's going to be my answer for number 2. Now let's go ahead and move to number 3. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and move to number 6 on the worksheet. So number 6 on the worksheet right here. First things first, I'm going to look at the problem. So I'm going to have 2u v times u v. Like we said previously, you're going to have, because I don't see any exponents on my letters, so I'm going to put an imaginary one on all of them. Because that's what it stands for, right? Like we said before, whenever you have a variable, there's always, if it doesn't have anything, it's going to have an exponent of 1. Now, first thing, what numbers do I have in front of my numbers? I have a 2, and I have an invisible one over here with this guy. So what's 2 times 1? It's going to be 2. So I took care of that, so I can delete it. Now, the only thing I need to worry about are my u and my v. So I'm going to start with my variable u. You can pick whatever variable you want to start with, but I usually like to start in order alphabetically. So I'm going to pick u. I'm going to see that I have this exponent and this exponent. So I'm going to do 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, so it's going to be u to the 2nd power. So I'm done with the u's. Now I'm going to work with my b's. Gonna write v, and I'm gonna write the exponents for my first v, which is 1, plus the exponent for the second v, which is 1. So now I can erase that. I know that my final answer is going to be 2u squared v squared. And that's going to be all that we do. So it's not very hard. All you got to do, you just got to make sure you work your numbers in front of your variables first, multiply them together. After that, make sure you always work one variable at a time. Just combine all of your exponents for one variable, then do your second variable if you have any other ones. All right, hopefully that helps.